It happened in a moment so brief and yet eternal, when our hands brushed like two stars colliding in the silence of the universe. There was no warning, no grand fanfare or scripted encounter, just the soft meeting of skin on skin, electric in its simplicity. The world paused as if holding its breath, letting us exist in that pocket of time where only we mattered. Your fingers, so warm and real, slid beside mine, uncertain but hopeful, like a question longing for a yes. I remember the way your eyes caught mine, not bold but searching, and in them I saw all the unspoken chapters of a story we had not yet begun to write. It wasn't love at first sight, it was love in first contact, that silent promise wrapped in skin and soul. Our hands didn't simply meet, they introduced our hearts, signed the first page of a bond both fragile and unbreakable. From that moment, I knew something had shifted forever. I wasn't falling, I had already fallen, and your touch was the gentle ground that caught me. Every day since, I've traced that moment in my memory, like a beloved map leading to somewhere sacred. Your touch echoed across my thoughts, lingering like the scent of spring after rain, the kind that softens everything it touches. I began to notice things about you, how your laughter rose like music from somewhere deep, how your silences spoke even louder. I became fluent in the language of your presence, and my own hands, once idle and unsure, began reaching for you instinctively, as if they had always known their home was yours. Every time our fingers laced together after that, the world tilted slightly, as if realigning to accommodate our connection. People passed us by, indifferent to the quiet miracle unfolding at our fingertips, but we felt it, didn't we? That pulse, that hum beneath the skin, telling us this was something rare. Our hands became bridges between our souls, crossing every fear, every doubt. In the simplicity of your palm against mine, I found clarity, like a whispered truth I had been searching for my entire life. There were moments we sat in silence, hands clasped, and said nothing, yet everything was spoken. I could feel the beating of your pulse beneath your wrist, and it became my favorite rhythm. I never needed to ask if you loved me. It was there, nestled between our fingers, undeniable. We could be in a crowded room, or lost in a quiet forest, and it didn't matter. Our hands were always seeking each other, defying distance and distraction. It was in these moments, the still ones, that love felt most alive. Not in grand declarations or public gestures, but in the way your thumb would gently circle over mine, like you were trying to memorize me by touch. And I did the same, imprinting you onto my skin like a secret tattoo. Every line of your palm told me something I hadn't known I was missing. You carried your warmth into me, melting the frost I'd grown used to. With you I learned that touch isn't just sensation, it's conversation, it's truth, it's the place where love lives without needing to speak. Do you remember the first time I held your hand in the rain? The sky had turned gray, but we didn't run for shelter. Instead, you looked at me, your eyes filled with a quiet fire, and you offered your hand like an answer to a question I hadn't realized I was asking. The rain fell around us, soft and rhythmic, but it couldn't wash away the heat that bloomed between our palms. In that moment, everything else vanished. The cars, the people, the noise. It was just us, suspended in the hush of a storm that dared not interrupt what we were creating. Your grip was firm, yet gentle, and I felt safe in a way I never had before. Not just protected from the rain, but from everything that had ever made me feel small or unseen. That single moment, water falling from the sky, laughter tumbling from our lips, hands locked in silent promise, it stitched itself into my soul like poetry. Since then I've chased that feeling in every thunderstorm, hoping to find you again in the rain. Sometimes I wonder how such a simple gesture could hold so much meaning. Hands, they do so much in a lifetime. They build, they break, they create, they comfort. But in yours, I found something deeper. I found understanding, empathy, forgiveness, and a love that ran like a quiet river beneath the noise of the world. When you touched me, it wasn't just skin meeting skin, it was soul meeting soul. You saw the tremble in my fingers, and steadied me with your presence. You read the stories my palms carried, not just the lifelines etched by fate, but the invisible ink of past heartbreaks, and still you held on. There's something powerful in knowing someone has touched the most vulnerable parts of you, and chooses to stay. You never let go, even when I gave you reasons to. Your hand became a lighthouse in my darkest hours, guiding me back from the edge of myself. And I in turn learned how to hold you, not just tightly, but tenderly, like a precious truth I wanted to protect with all I had. There were days when we argued, voices rising like waves against the rocks, but even then, especially then, I reached for your hand, because love isn't just about the soft moments, it's about the hard ones too, the times when everything feels uncertain, when fear threatens to unravel the threads between us, and yet our hands always found each other, like they remembered what our minds sometimes forgot, that we belong. I recall the tremble in your fingers after one of those long silences, and how mine wrapped around yours with the quiet message, I'm still here. That was love too, not the fireworks but the unwavering flame that refuses to burn out. When our hands met again after hurt, it was always forgiveness in motion. We didn't need words. Our skin spoke its own language, one that knew how to say I'm sorry, I understand, please don't go. And in holding on we chose each other again and again, even when it would have been easier to let go. That, more than anything, is what made our love real. Over time our hands changed. The youthful smoothness gave way to lines earned through living, through laughter and grief and growth. But I loved them more for it. Every crease and scar was a chapter of the life we built together. The hands that once trembled with first touch now held steady with history.
I watched as you used those hands to care for me, for others, for dreams that once seemed distant, and you watched mine do the same. We built a home not just from bricks and walls, but from the way we reached for each other each morning, from the quiet comfort of fingers intertwined beneath the blankets at night. Our hands aged but never lost their spark. Even now, when I look at them resting in yours, I see the echoes of every moment that brought us here. The first touch, the rain, the laughter, the tears, and always, always, the choice to keep reaching across the space, across the time. Because when our hands met, they made a vow, one of skin and silence and everlasting love. And someday, far into the future, when time has softened our edges and slowed our steps, I hope we're still holding hands. I imagine us walking through a golden field, the sun warm on our backs, and your hand in mine just as it was in the beginning, firm, familiar, and full of quiet magic. Perhaps the world will forget our names, our voices, even our faces. But in the memory of our touch, something eternal will remain. Our hands have told a story that words never could, a symphony of presence and promise. When they first met, we were strangers on a shared path. Now we are a single heartbeat in two bodies. And should the day come when one hand is left waiting for the other, I believe it will still feel yours in the wind, in the warmth of the sun, in the spaces between the stars, because some touches are forever. And ours began in a simple moment, but grew into a lifetime. When our hands met, the universe made room for a love that would never fade.